Hello, and a huge welcome back to Term 3. I know that you have probably hit the ground running. There is lots happening this term. I really love Term 3, if I'm going to be really honest. I love that we get to kind of see the progression of our students from Year 11 into Year 12 at the back end of Term 3. But we also get to, wish our Year 12s well on their merry way, but also see them graduate and just kind of, be part of all that revision and that really good energy at graduation time. But I know that there's lots of hard work ahead. So I really hope you had a beautiful break and you are ready and raring to go. A huge welcome back to the PDHPE and CAFS podcast. Today we are diving into some main changes that you may or may not have been aware of. And I know that there was and has been quite a lot of confusion around New South Wales about some assessment changes that have had an impact on our brand new course, Health and Movement Science, as well as potentially now Community and Family Studies. But look, I hope that you're going well. HMS is a lot. I know that many of you have messaged me on Instagram, messaged me on Facebook, emailed us. I've seen a lot of you in person at various events, and you're like, Kel, there's so much to cover, especially focus area 2. And look, at the end of, probably midway through term 4, we're going to have a really good look at both of our resources, our units of work in our HMS membership, our booklets, and everything that we've done to support teachers across the state to really streamline what you're doing, what you're teaching, to cut back on, I'm going to say, not the fluff, there's no fluff, but to cut back on some of the content, because I know that it's taken you a really long time to get through, especially if you've done, focus area 2, you're probably still kind of finding your feet after the CI, adding depth studies in there. It's a lot, but I want you to feel and know that you are supported by us in the Health and Movement Science membership, as well as all the resources that we've brought out, our Google Slides, our revision cards, our revision booklets, and our resource booklets to help you. That's essentially why we do what we do, to help you, to empower you as a busy teacher to reclaim your afternoons, your weekends, and your holidays with all that prep and planning that is sort of behind the scenes. So look, I know for many of us at the beginning of term 3, we're kind of like, okay, we've got that deadline of Year 11 HMS end of course exam. So you're kind of like, you've got your eyes on the prize at the end of term 3, getting your students ready for that, making sure you've covered the content, making sure you're doing a really good job of it, getting through the syllabus, but also equipping the kids with the skills that they need for exam time. And because we are in a new era of stage 6 HMS, it's really important that we're kind of equipping our kids with the skills that they need for the end game of not just the Year 11 exam, but also the HSC. So look, I want to address a few things around assessment that you might have seen notifications from different organisations. There hasn't been a whole heap out there, if I'm going to be really honest. NESA haven't made like a big song and dance about it, but because of the ACE manual changes back last year, they have had implications on our HMS syllabus. So listen up very carefully right now, because I'm going to alleviate your stress. I'm going to provide some clarity around that. So I always go to the source, and I did go to the source during the school holidays to ask our PDHPE representative for further clarification around this, because even though we kind of put out, I would say, like a statement to our teachers, both our HMS members and also in the New South Wales PDHPE and CAFS page, NESA don't have a Twitter account anymore. There is the NESA news, but not everything is actually published in the NESA news. So if you haven't already seen, I want you to head to the Curriculum New South Wales website. We'll put all the show links under here. So you're going to curriculumnewsouthwales.edu.au, and you're going to go, you can do it 2 ways. You can kind of go like record of changes, or you can go straight to HMS. Let me get the actual HMS direct link. It's kind of really long. It's like learning areas / blah, blah, blah. Just look up HMS syllabus. You'll notice when you go there, there's something called, it's like a little bar. It's called record of changes. Click on that for me. And then I want you to click on the May the 8th, 2025. It was a few months ago. It says Health and Movement Science, 11 to 12, 2023, Collaborative Investigation, Content Point amended, updated. Content Point was amended for clarity and consistency with assessment certification examination, so the ACE manual changes found in Year 11 Collaborative Investigation, Outcome 1105, HM 1105 must be addressed. Now, I thought at the time that this meant that the collaborative part no longer had to be assessed. It just had to be addressed in the CI. Now, Kel, in her wisdom, was like, I just kept getting questions, and also for my own clarity, I just wanted to actually go to the source, go to NESA, and I encourage you guys to do that as well if you have any questions at all. So I rang NESA and said, look, what's the go with this? And they said, look, the ACE manual has changed. Schools now have, I suppose, power and authority to assess essentially, the outcomes, the tasks, in their own discretion. So I said, what does this mean for the CI? So the CI has to be addressed in health and movement science, but because of that ACE manual change, it no longer has to be assessed. So I was like, okay, so we spent all this time on creating resources, stressing out, getting our heads around it, creating professional learning, and now we don't have to actually assess it. And they said, no. But in the spirit of the syllabus, it is still recommended that schools assess the collaborative investigation. So let me clarify this. The 1105, the HMS 11, HM 1105 outcome, in the documentation, it originally said it had to be assessed. Now it says it has to be addressed. But in saying that, our collaborative investigation doesn't have to be part of our assessment program. So the next thing I'd love for you to do on the HMS website, on the Curriculum New South Wales, is scroll down to the tab that says assessment. We'll scroll across. Then I'm doing this with you, so I know I'll give you the right instructions. Click down to school-based assessment, and then you'll notice that this hasn't been, I'm going to say, publicly announced. If you scroll down past the weighting, so it says assessment programs must reflect course components and weightings. Then it says schools may determine specific elements of their assessment program. And I'll read out the actual statement and the words. You can read this for yourself. Schools have authority to determine the number, type of task, and the weighting allocated to an assessment task. Schools may also follow the sample programs provided by NESA. No longer does it say that the collaborative investigation has to be assessed. It has to be addressed, but it doesn't have to be assessed. So I really want to make that clear to everyone that if you're considering trying to look at your current assessment schedule, I know that's fairly late into the piece. It doesn't have to be assessed, but with the spirit of the syllabus, it should be addressed. I think it should be assessed. If I was teaching this, I would feel very comfortable assessing the collaborative investigation with my class, with my HMS class. And I'm certainly recommending and advocating for that to happen across New South Wales with our HMS members, because the syllabus is written with that collaborative approach. There are outcomes about collaboration. The best way to do that is through the CI. So look, I know that's going to be a shock for many of you. For lots of people who are either stressed, rest assured that this change, wasn't, wasn't publicly stated because the ACE manual changed. A notification was out about that. And then obviously the department, they do their announcements, but not everyone goes to things, not everyone reads everything. So hopefully that has clarified things. If not, please let me know. But also please contact NESA. They are the authority. Kel Bell isn't the authority. I'm not NESA. I'm a service provider. I'm a professional learning provider, resource developer, supporter, lover, professional learning, events team, but we're not NESA. So please contact NESA As I mentioned, the spirit of the syllabus is to still assess the CI, but you need to think about within the context of your school what that looks like. If you are in a very small rural and remote school, then how would that collaboration potentially look? If you're a distance education school, it might be quite hard. So I think this gives schools a lot more scope. I think this gives schools a lot more choice. But for you, the HMS teacher who is teaching this year after year, I really strongly encourage you to still assess your CI. It still has to be in there. It has to be in your, part of what you teach, but it doesn't necessarily have to be assessed. So hopefully that clarifies a few things. In the same light, and I've again contacted NESA about this, and I want to get firm clarity around this, but when you scroll down the screen, it then looks at U12 work. So U12 school-based assessment. Schools may determine specific elements of their assessment program. This is all in line with the ACE manual changes. Schools have authority to determine the number, type of task, and weighting allocated to an assessment task. Schools may also follow the sample assessment programs provided by NESA. And then it doesn't actually say that the depth study has to be assessed. So that kind of presents not some issues, but some conversation that needs to be had about where the depth study is going to be assessed, whether you actually assess a depth study, and what that looks like. But for me, if I was doing this, of course I would assess a depth study. You're spending so much time on it. It's course time. Of course you're going to assess that component. What that looks like is totally up to schools. What that is weighted at, again, totally up to schools. So this provides us with a lot of questions, I think, at school, like how are we assessing? What are we assessing? And I don't want schools to be caught up in the old, we're just going to do like a task like the HSC or school, like an unseen question. There still is place for the collaborative investigation and the depth study at your school. This should be part of your assessment. This is what NESA created the syllabus around: contemporary skills, 21st century, collaboration, going deeper. So if I was at school, which I'm not, I know, I would be doing a CI and a depth study, assessing both. One in year 11, assessing the CI in year 11, assessing the depth study in year 12. And if you are a HMS member, you'll be resourced still with both of those. There are still lots of resources in the Google Drive for the CI, scaffolds and templates and lots of things for the kids to make it so easy for you to assess and navigate your way through the CI. And the same with the depth studies. Next week, I'm doing a whole session on depth studies at the HMS Summit in Sydney. Can't wait. It's going to be really exciting. And my recommendation is still to assess a depth study. It enables the kids to go deeper, to not just have that surface level understanding of our content, which is why the syllabus, part of the reason why it changed in the first place. We need to be going deeper. We're not just teaching the content, we're actually developing skills for our kids to be able to function in the real world. Now, all of this now makes me think about the IRP for CAFS. And of course, I then went and found what it actually says. And it has that statement. So if you have your CAFS page tabbed, it has now moved to the New South Wales page, the government page. So it all looks very different, but it's the same thing. So it's the same CAFS syllabus. That hasn't changed. Where you go to assessment and reporting, I'm going to again navigate this with you. It'll drop down. It'll talk about the program. Schools are required to develop an assessment program for both Year 11 and Year 12. NESA provides information about the responsibilities of schools in developing assessment programs in course-specific assessment and reporting requirements and in the ACE manual, rules and requirements. So then talks about submission, etc. And then again, it reminds us schools have authority to determine the number, type of task, and the weighting allocated to an assessment task. Schools may follow the sample that's provided by NESA. 3 tasks, a formal exam, then whatever else you want. And then the same for Year 12. schools may determine specific elements of their assessment program. Schools have authority to determine the number, type of task, and weighting allocated to an assessment task. Schools may also follow the sample assessment programs provided by NESA. It then shows us 4 tasks, minimum weighting of an individual task of 10%, like we're used to, maximum of 40, exam 30, IRP maximum of 20%. And this kind of breaks my heart, really, because the IRP has been part of our history for over 20 years. And I would really hate for schools to take it out. I think it is a really rich assessment task. I think if you do it right in a teacher-facilitated way, it gets the kids to really develop the skills that they need to answer questions in the HSC. That's like, I know people are talking about that. Like, I would just want to prepare my kids for the HSC. But it also gets them to do actual quality research. It enables them to research something that they want to uncover, discover, go a bit deeper. I would still be doing it exactly like I've taught you for the last 5 years to do a teacher-facilitated IRP, despite schools now having more choice and flexibility around assessment. Again, if you have questions for NESA, please contact them. Their team is very lovely. They are very accommodating. Please ask lots of questions, but go to these particular pages on the NESA website for HMS and CAFS and read the exact statement. Obviously, we'll make it very clear for members, make it very clear on our Facebook groups and social media. But look, I wanted to do a whole podcast episode about this. What are we setting our kids up for? Are we really setting them up for the HSC? Yes, we need to teach them the skills to prepare for the HSC, but we're really coming at it in a way that prepares them for the real world. That's why we do what we do. So I really want you to kind of put your strategic thinking cap on. What is your assessment schedule going to look like for Year 12 next term, Term 4, for the IRP and CAFS, and what is it going to look like for the depth studies for HMS? Now, if you want support for Year 12 HMS, our HMS membership is wide open now, and we are inviting new schools to join us. The learnnet.com/HMS is where you can go to get all the resources, all the support at your fingertips at the click of a button in your Google Drive. But schools are also up for renewal now. So if you are up for renewal and you joined us last year this time, many of you are in that position. We would love to have you back for another year of ongoing resources, ongoing support, so you actually get to have a life. You actually get to spend time doing the things that you love. So in light of that, we've developed a free resource for you to help you kind of streamline what you're doing with your kids. The first resource that's coming out this week, and I, to be honest, have spent a long time on it, probably longer than I had expected. The first resource is like a student-friendly version of the syllabus. So you can head to thelearnnet.com/student HMS. And it's an easy-to-read, student-friendly version of the syllabus. Obviously, that will be updated over the years, so you kind of know that it's current. But it looks a bit different. There's no text boxes as such. It's the content, back-to-back, one page for each kind of main content point question. So that's available for everyone, thelearnnet.com/student HMS. So it makes life a lot easier. Look, if you have any questions about HMS, about CAFS, about assessment, please let us know. Contact us via email or on socials. It's our absolute pleasure to support you. Navigate this, era of changes in New South Wales. And look, no question will go unanswered. Hope you have a great week, and I can't wait to see so many of you next week at our HMS